Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hello.
Host is not here. Yes. Everybody. The host is not here. Kalimera.
Calimera.
Technical problems.
Καλημέρα.
Technical problems.
Of course. Always some.
Yes, 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 yes. Ευτυχώς, luckily this time I knew that you can program it so that everybody can enter whenever they want. And I don't have to, always check in and be confused. How are you?
All good. How are you?
Also good, also good. Just getting ready here. There are some people here, they are connecting. So I'm just gonna grab my cable soon and I'm back.
How many are we? You speaker, speaker.
One of the roommates. Hello, everyone. Okay, we're doing one test here. I don't hear myself anymore, no? It's you've muted your computer. Okay. But you all can hear me from the speakers. Hello. Everyone on Zoom can hear me? Yes. Are we all here? Elagia, Maria. Maria, how are you? Natalia, Denise, Antonis, Alexandra, Cortez. Perfect. Electra. So, good morning and welcome. This is the symposium from my project here in the Fresh Air Residency. I was here since April and now it's already November, but we have a very nice day. Started getting really cold here in Berlin, but today is pretty nice, so we can enjoy. I will start by, I sent this email, so more or less you know what it is about. And the people who I've already invited, they also know me and Latomio because some of them you were already there in one way or another. So just to save some time, I will not explain more, but I thought maybe I start by sharing with you the video from like it's a summary of what I did here, and then we will start with all the presentations. Okay? So.
The streaming is not really working for me. Huh?
Yeah, for me neither. It's freezing, I think.
We don't listen the sound.
Yeah, better stop it. No, it's
Yeah, no, it's not working.
it's very choppy.
I'm really sorry. The sound, yeah.
Can I step in, Eleni?
Yeah.
There,
Please.
there is a, you have to optimize for video sharing, I think. There is an option when you log in the Zoom, and then you have to also optimize for sharing audio. I think there are some extra buttons you have to press to be able to share your screen. And that goes for everyone who has a video or something to share.
I try this one more time and just give a thumb up if it's working or talk, because I was not aware of this. Hi, I'm Eleni Danesi. I am an architect and movement artist, and my project here is called Embodied Democracy. Actually, it started as embodied undemocracy because my purpose was to unfold situations where we experience really tough on our bodies, situations of violence or injustice, but in the states and the society that we live in, they are presented as democracy. So for me, that was a big conflict in my head, and I want to present how the bodies can resist these situations and how we can train our bodies to really feel how democracy is embedded in our system in the right way, hopefully. So here is the installation. It's called Imaginary Gardens and the Tent of Consciousness. I believe that a lot of the situations we encounter, the way we interpret them, comes from what we understand about ourselves and how conscious we are. So I tried to create 3 situations where we can trade this consciousness of our own. And one big and very important part of this project is how to activate our imagination and how to envision this change, how to really picture and visualize what is the best for us and our interactions with other people or with other species. And yeah, I think this is mostly what I'm about to show you. Here is the tent of consciousness. And my idea here was to present how consciousness is generated based on the Indian traditions and philosophy. And they tell us that there are 4 stages. There is the awakened state, there is the dreaming state, there is the deep sleep state, and there is pure awareness. So this tent represents these 4 states. This is the first tent, which is the awakened state. And for this, I wanted to talk about how we perceive ourselves, how we create our identity, and how we reflect about our position in this world. The second tent is about how we relate to other species, and it's the dreaming tent, because in our dreams, everything that we experienced in the day, we are processing, or we bring memories in order to make sense of the world. And there we are very creative with how we interpret what is happening. The third space is the deep sleep, where is a state that the body really recreates itself. There is no thinking, there is no energy consumed. It's really for letting the body relax. And this for me gives a sense of wholeness. This is why I associate it with the impression of a wholeness with the world. It's inspired by the actions of the mycelium and how they expand in the world and they interconnect different forms of life. And so the 4th state of consciousness for me is the in-between space, in between these tents, where the participants come together in order to share their impressions and co-create a perception of the world together. So yeah, this was more or less the process of my thinking, of my research, and since May, I've been developing different practices here. So not only personal, but also with other people. And some of them were in form of workshops. I do the mental mapping workshop, which is the process that was presented for the middle part of this tent. We did some workshops in Berlin, in some neighborhoods. And I was also doing it as a self-practice of making sense, understanding, reflecting on this period that I was here. And what is important for me with this practice is to make myself conscious about the people I interact, or as I said, the species that I come across, and how I see them and how I see myself through them. So this meeting was, as a concept, is similar to what I've done in the past, and some of you have been there in Latomio project, either as a residency program or as the mini festival we did last year, like 1 year ago. And in these situations, my goal is to acknowledge the people that have an impact on my life. And I see this network of ideas developing when I express my thoughts, and then they expand this, and then I expand myself, of course. So this creates in myself, in me, a sense of being really grateful for these interactions. So thank you for being here and doing this all together. So I would like to start with the presentations, if you're all okay with it. And I know that Adonis and Evi have to go soon. So, and Alessandro, you as well. You can unmute yourself, or?
Yeah, around 12 and a half, I need to leave.
12 and a half. Adonis, when do you have to go?
Later, so
Later. Okay. So let's start with Alessandro then, and then Evi, and then Adonis.
Okay, then. Hello to everybody.
Yeah, 1 second. So for everybody, just give a little bit of what you do in the beginning, so that we know, because I didn't present each one of you individually, and then you go into your presentation. Okay.
Okay, well then, first, thank you, Leni. This time, like the other times, for setting up these opportunities to meet. Okay, so I'm Alessandro. Nice to see all of you. Some of you I met at last Latomio. And so what I am a neuroscientist. No, I study the brain, and I have a number of interests for what concerns the way in which our perception and interaction between each other and with the environment is mediated by our brain, among the other things, because then it's just the brain as a part of the body, and this brings us to embodiment. Now, when it comes to artistic practices, my main drive in the last few years, which is also the way in which I got in contact with Leni, has been an interest in how some of the techniques that we use to investigate brain function can be applied to interactive performances and artistic installations. I'm going to show you now a video of our the last project that I made with Aya, which is this collective that we have here in Leipzig. Just to explain you the technique itself is rather simple. So I work with electroencephalography, EEG, and well, you probably have seen this sort of thing. This is an EEG hat. You put it on your head, and what it does, it records all the multitude of electric signals that are produced by your brain as it exists, as it functions. Now, this is a very noisy signals. It's not like you can read someone's thought with it, but from the signal you can extract informations about one's state, about relaxation, about sleep, about dream. Actually, you can detect whether a person is dreaming. And obviously this creates possibilities for creating environments that are reactive to a personal state. Now, in CoShape, we worked with a performer that was meditating. And as the public enters the room in which the performer is meditating, the brain activity of the performer and the movement of the people around the space interact together to control both the music and the sound. Now, can I share the screen? Yes, I'm opening. Just a second. Screen. No, I will need your authorization for screen sharing. Do I also need to click the optimization thing, or is it already set?
You can check. Can you check if you can share now? Because
now I can. Yes.
Okay.
Do I have the sound? Well, let me know if it works. Okay, you see
Yeah,
the video
try.
now? Okay. Do you hear? You should hear rain.
No.
Then wait. Let's see more. Share sound. Here it is. Okay, sound is in.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so but very briefly, because I know that the video itself is not. Oops, restarting. Can you hear me? Yes. Cool. So very briefly, what is going on here is that the sound had been prepared as a number of tracks, and the respective loudness and some of the timbral quality of the sound were controlled by whether the performer was in a relaxed / meditative state or in an active one. And at the same time, the sound was also being modulated by the movement of the people around the performer. And the tracking of the movement was then what was being projected in the background. Basically the white figures were not just camera, but were it was not the it was just the movement. The only if someone was to stay completely still, they would not appear on the screen. So the main reasons to do this kind of work for me are, well, first what I've already mentioned, which is the idea of providing a way to enter a space, a brain space rather than a mind space, which is normally not accessible. And secondarily, and this is also what always draws me to Eleni's work and practices, is also the idea of creating ways of have emerging compositions that don't just depend on one artist or one composer's purpose and control over the artistic piece, but that emerge from even just from sharing a space, from being together in a place and having different sensors with whom it's possible to interact, well, from the bottom up, in a way, in a form of democracy, if we want. And interestingly, then when it comes to our next project that is going to be in December, that is going to be called Dreams of Others, and in that case the performer is going to be sleeping, and the idea is again to create a possibility for people who enter the room to enter the dream. So again, different stages of sleep, as they can be detected with electroencephalography, will have an effect on different sounds, different frequencies, based on the different frequencies that characterize these different stages of sleep. That's pretty much it. One last thing that I wanted to mention, and that I found particularly interesting in doing this kind of work. At first, when I started working with electroencephalography, I've been very worried about the fact that a lot of people find this technique so fascinating that it really doesn't need to work to function to create let's say, a valuable experience, to create something that people want to see or interact with. And as I started, I was very worried about this because I found it a way somehow to mystify, as I want to make you interact with brain signals, I want it to function. And if I see people captured by this representation, even when some technical issue made it not work at all, well, that's not good. Or at least that's what I was convinced of. Then later on, as I went on doing this kind of work, I basically realized that it was exactly this sort of magical impact of techniques that are so much removed from our daily experience that gave me the possibility of to keep trying, to keep making trial and errors, because even those errors were touching somewhere that where people wanted to go, even if I was not bringing them as far as I desired to, or with the precision that I was expected to employ because of my scientific background. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm glad to have the possibility of showing you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, what I had in mind for the presentation is that, we don't share now questions, but I think just because some people, and especially Alessandro, will leave, maybe somebody wants to comment something or share something. You can unmute. Yeah, thank
hello,
you.
Alessandro.
Hello.
I'm very happy to see you. I would like to ask you if you have any future plans. You will working with the same project about the brain, or you go somewhere else?
Okay, so yes, we are so as this IR team that came out this year with a couple colleagues from Korea. We go on with developing ways to implement EEG in interactive multimedia arts. This includes now two main directions. One is a genetic algorithmic based music evaluation feedback, which I have to find a better name for that. But the main idea is that to have an ensemble playing music live in front of a public with the EEG. And the idea is that as the ensemble plays a number of musical pieces, the EEG allows us to feedback to the ensemble an idea of how much those musical pieces are impacting the public. If they are creating relaxation, if they are creating attention, if they are creating pleasure. There's different ways to extract these metrics from the signal. And this feedback about the public's perception then gets given back to the ensemble, which then uses it to play again a more complex series of musical sentences, which again creates this feedback. So what we are doing there is to try and create some sort of generative collective music piece based on this feedback dialogue between ensemble and public, mediated by the algorithm. So that's one of the things. And the other thing instead is what I had mentioned, which is create in a room a dream space which is reflective of the internal space of the person who is sleeping, who is dreaming. And that's pretty much it. Plus, then we try to explore different mediums in which we can use this data, this information that we get from the brain. So now we were focusing on sound. Next thing we are doing is going to be some light show, with physical lights and stroboscopy to try also to use this data to recreate perception that goes beyond the standard daily perception. So create states of not trance, but states that are a bit away from your normal waking life. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Or we go to Evie. Evie, are you ready?
Hello, do you hear me? Hello, everyone. It's so nice to see you again. Some of you I have already worked with. It's very nice to meet all those I haven't yet worked with. And I'm very happy that I'm part of this community of a shared space of ideas. So let me tell you a few things about myself. I'm a filmmaker and video artist, but I also work with other media like text, sound, photography, and I have done a lot of films that are non-verbal. I call them like non-verbal embodied processes. which is I don't use speech in order to focus in different elements of the picture, like the movement, the rhythm, the motion of the body. So, and with Eleni, I know her some years now. We collaborate in different ways, in different projects, and it is it's amazing for me how we communicate, even if we don't communicate. I mean, if we are far and in different cities and doing different projects, like the processes of our works are somehow going to the same direction, or they connect and then go to other directions and connect again. So when Eleni shared with us her research and her thoughts, I really liked what she said about undemocracies, that are the memories and the sensations that are registered somehow in our bodies. And I also have been working for the last 5 years now on a similar issue. Um, I tried to capture or to visualize this information that comes from experiences like oppression or poverty or violation or there's some abuse maybe, or things like that, how this could be visualized through film techniques in our bodies. So I created this series of, have been created this series of still and video self-portraits that it's called malfunctioning portraits. And what I do is like the Malon, maybe the idea. Let me tell you a few things about the idea before I share with you some of these photos and a short video. Came in 2017 when I was sitting in front of a webcam waiting for a video call to start. And just then I realized that the webcam is also a camera where we see ourselves, and it can work also as a mirror where we can fix our hair or do stuff. Something that later became a collective experience. I mean, with the Corona experience and all the lockdowns and all the Zoom meetings and video calls, became a collective experience for many of us. So what I did was to capture those moments of the video portraits that the technology didn't work. Basically, I worked with the computer as a co-creator in doing these photos and videos. A co-creator that can improvise and can be very sudden, because I work with a very old computer. So I did some performances, mostly with the face. I captured them as video files that they were very high resolution. But then the player of the computer, of the laptop, couldn't play them back because they were so high resolution, and the computer was old, and somehow the player freezed. So I captured the moments that the computer freezed, and then I built a video around those moments. The video is a combination of still and moving images, but I also have some portraits that are distorted. And one of also of the themes of the distortion was to visualize a self-perception or some gender stereotypes that have to do with mostly with beauty, around beauty, that women must be beautiful, or how do they present themselves, or how do they how could do our self-perception mainly. And so I would like to share with you some photos. Okay. Okay. Oh. I don't know if you see them.
All good.
They are so beautiful.
I see them only in a small
I'm
size.
small. Wait, maybe. I will. Now, do you see? So you can see all of them.
Yeah.
But if I, you know, I don't know, if I click on them, no.
Try, you should have a number of options when you share the screen.
Mm-hmm.
I think you are selecting sharing window, so you are selecting to share the window with the picture. You should have the possibility to share the window with the open picture, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, because if I select, I don't know, maybe if I select to.
Αν ανοίξεις πρώτα τη φωτογραφία, κάνει διπλό κλικ να ανοίξεις τον υπολογιστή σου και
Και
μετά
μετά να την κάνω
το
share. Okay, θα το κάνουμε.
sharing θα κάνεις share window τη φωτογραφία.
Okay.
Αλλά κάνε διπλό κλικ να ανοίξει πρώτα. Σωστά.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, maybe this one. But now if I go to the next one, do you see it?
Yes.
Yes, perfect.
Also this one. So those moments were basically random. I play back the same files of videos many times. And every time the laptop would freeze in a different moment. And so then it became what later became for everyone as I continued to work on this project. The corona came and the lockdown came and everybody was on video calls where their image was stacking or their it was freezing or the other people's images were freezing. So this was a very common experience later. Okay. And I would like also to share with you the video. It's a 3-minute video and okay. But you know, I will also send it in the chat because I don't know my connection here. Maybe on the other hand, it would be interesting if the connection is poor here. If I share this video, it might be a good experiment. And also, if we have a double freeze, the freeze that is already in the video, that is captured that way, and the freeze of the poor connection. So I don't know. I already said it in the chat if you want to watch it as it is. But I will try to also share it. Okay. Wait. What is happening? Okay. So this was the video. I don't know if you all had the same experience or it was freezing for in different in different parts for depending on the connection, but that's also, I think that would be very, very interesting. So that's some of the, it's a work in progress still. I have already presented in different forms. I have presented in online residencies, Instagram takeovers, in galleries. I have presented only the video and also in film festivals in a different, with a different editing. It has also participated in film festivals and I'm still working on it. And I would like to hear any thoughts or questions or.
Thank you, baby. Anyone?
Yeah, maybe sorry.
It was sort of cool.
Okay, complicated. Thank you for the presentation. I was really taken in by the intimacy that you show. It's very personal, but then also it's funny because, of course, maybe every one of us, at least I, totally see myself in these experiences. So it's actually funny because you say you come from this collective, like you were waiting in a video call, which is like a public situation. And then you create something where I see yourself in front of a mirror, like you seem like half naked. I don't know, but it's very nice bridge. Yeah. So thank you for the work. It's fun to see.
Yeah, thank you. That was exactly the idea because I was waiting and I said, oh, how I look like that, my hair, they aren't good. And that was the initial idea. So yeah, that was it. Thank you.
Can I say something? Hi, Evie. We have some technical difficulties. Can you hear me? Yeah, I was really excited to see your work because I did a piece that started from a similar premise a while ago. And it was a little bit different, like it wasn't the camera, but the premise became from like the idea of a mannequin in a window and seeing women's bodies through a glass box. And then it became a totally different type of piece because I was also working from the medium of dance, but it's just really interesting to see, like, it was very gestural as well. So like the way the linking frame, and like it was also about like grooming and clothing and like the way that we transform our bodies in different ways. And like it's interesting to see it through this distorted lens as well, but like similar like gesture comes through in different ways with like the way that you are framing just, you know, the turn of the neck, the back, the hair. So yeah, it was kind of like amazing to have that kind of parlay, that dialogue in my head as I was watching you.
Thank you very much. I would really love to see your work. If you have anything, you know, to send us a link or to share it, I don't know, somehow, I would love to see
it. Evie, can you repeat? You just said that you would like her to share something if she has.
Her work,
Your
what
work.
she did. Yeah, the work that connects.
Sure, I can email you. It's a totally different aesthetic, but it's so interesting to see, just for me, that how one point of departure can grow into these many folds.
Just give me 1 minute, please. Thank you. Am I doing it right with the sound? Because I just have to unmute and mute myself in order not to have the disturbance, or anyone knows. Yeah, but she's still recorded, right? When she's talking, if they can hear her, it's in from her computer. So yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Evie. Shall we move to Antonis then? Adonis, are you ready?
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Can you hear me? So I see many good friends. And I really would like to thank Eleni. Latomio project last year was a really important experience for me. So I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I'm a psychologist, performer of physical theater, and I'm working especially with, I'm cooperating with two people, Artemis and Vangelis. Vangelis is a cinematographer and Artemis is a kinesiologist. And we produce screenplays. How psychology, we think of psychology over in terms, do I want to have a therapy or, but we are I'm more interested in how it combines with art. How some psychological tools like process work, who talks about deep democracy, can combine with art and produce new things. I'm gonna starting sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. Can you see anything?
Yes.
Have I shared it?
Yes, you shared.
We
Yeah, we see the files. Βλέπουμε τους φακέλους σου και το preview.
Okay.
Άνοιξε PDF στο reader.
The presentation haven't been open yet?
Όχι σε full screen. It's not full screen. Το ίδιο με την Εύη. Αν κάνεις διπλό κλικ και την ανοίξεις και μετά κάνεις share το παράθυρο με το PowerPoint.
Like this or not?
Ναι.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Ωραία.
Okay. Germany was really important for me to start thinking interdisciplinary. In 2018, I went in a conference in Cologne, and there I understand that all my identities that kept apart. I kept apart psychology, I kept apart dance and performing. So I put them together in order to try to make a multiplier effect, even in my educational stuff about psychology and dance, even in my artistic screen dances, video dances. I'm gonna tell you about a program that happens in both Greece and Germany, and I'm very happy to see that there is Despina Gazi with us. She's a part of the program, so I'm really happy to have with her. But before that, I'm gonna talk about how process work. Process work is a psychology sector that is from Portland, US, Oregon, talks about deep democracy. And deep democracy is not about changing me and you, but learning how to relate. And we are used that in political situations, we have to think in logic, but and we conversate with with logic, but we don't give any space for feelings because we think feelings are make us more weak. But this is totally a misunderstanding. It's totally wrong. Emotions can really deepen inside our processes, in every processes of life. So that's really important what Eleni, you do with undemocracy and with democracy and all the stuff you are working. So the program I would like to share with you is I'm another project, is a video dance storytelling project between Greece and Germany. So we cooperated with a theater in Germany and a young organization in Düsseldorf, and with an organization in Monemvasia in northern Peloponnese. And this, what I find, the topic was racism, so I find it really important always talk about racism and working with it. It's a work that's really important. What makes these projects more democratic for me is that it's both, it works with mixed groups. So professional dancers and professional performers can mix with young people that are from other disciplines or may haven't moved, or and this exchange makes a screen dance. Another thing, so like live performances. So this happened in Monemvasia in July, and in December we will be in Düsseldorf and there will be a presentation in 17th of December. So if anyone is near Düsseldorf, we were happy to see you. So the screen dance made was Rise, Fall, and Rise Again. I would like to, I haven't prepared a video for this, a small trailer. I wanted to also to show you some shots of this video, just to understand the way I select to work. So the title Rise, Fall, and Rise Again is because we have always to remind to ourselves that we are in difficult times and we might fall, not because it's our own mistake, but because of the undemocracies Eleni told about, because we are in a state of metavasis. We want to go from somewhere in an old world to a new world. So it's really very important. So we worked with identity, and identity can be worked with. We worked with two parts of the identity. The one to define what I am, depending on our or our way of willing to declare ourselves. So some suggestion is that the dance in the public space, and in the video there is also this identity coming. So one dancer selected the identity, I'm a woman. The other dancer, I'm a cat. I am young. I'm human. And also in the video playing a lot of identities that the performer selected. So we try to create with the audience this sense of we can go out in the cities and declare our identity. The idea is simple, but sometimes simple things have to be declared because we live in a very weird times. And the other thing to show your identity is to say what you are not. So to declare things that you don't like, things you want to be free sometimes. So yes, my name is Antonis. Sometimes I don't want my names to be Antonis. I'm not a machine. Okay, I think a lot of you can relate with that. I'm not a toy. Of course, our body is not a toy for anyone. And going to the core of deep democracy is that I'm another you. Sometimes I can relate to you because we are so alike. So I don't want to tire you a lot. So thank you for listening to me. And if you have any questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Adonis. Very nice. Thank you. I want to share something. Like the first comment the first thought that I came to my mind, and maybe Alessandro can help me with that. I'm doing right now. I'm doing a course called the Neuroscience of Coaching, and it's very interesting actually because the first class was about how the brain works and that is not divided into logic and emotion. Actually, it's a full thing that is just different areas that are firing in different operations that we are doing within the day. So sometimes let's say it's the logic part or the calculated part. The other thing is how the emotions are running and connecting with different organs. And we get feedback. I mean, I don't know if I'm explaining, Alessandro, the right way, but this is how I understand it, that we can't be divided. And if in the politics, for example, people just claim of a logic that is disembodied, then is where the problems are created, because there's a lack of empathy and the lack of perspective of another position. Whereas what I wanted to present here in this project about the somatic practices was an experience that I think really changed me slowly. I was in these spaces slowly becoming aware of my problematic perspective or relation to society, which was out of fear. And then in these groups, just the way that people are with each other and the space that they create between them, it felt, as you say, you call it deep democracy. And it was like a eye and body opening thing for me. So, yeah. How did I do with the neuroscience? Did I say it correctly?
You did very well. Okay, well, apart from the fact that it's a super interesting topic, the emotion, reason duality, and as you said, it's not a real duality. Personally, I think of it as two things that build on each other. Emotions come from a very basic and shared aspect of what we are, and then when what people call logic very often is simply more related to verbal language. But so and there are two things that they don't exist without each other. But on this, what I wanted to say was just that I really like the concept of I am another you, in relation to this aspect that now you brought up, because that is sort of, I feel that is sort of the easier, but at least what came to me looking at your presentation. That's in the knowledge, what's the term in English? The not epiphany, the acknowledgement of I am another you is a bit of the syncretizing. Is one way of going beyond this false dichotomy between emotion and language, because in the recognizing recognizing how your identity is shared with other people necessitate of recognizing the different levels at which this is happening, which are both emotional and verbal. So yeah, just to say, I really like the concept and the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I also wanted to thank Adonis for the presentation, and just a thought that it's so much important that the project is open to identities that someone could have that are other than human or human related. I mean that it's open to other species or to other things in general. So I think this is very, very important, and it has so many future, I think, and it will produce very unexpected results every time you mix other than human-related identities with human identities. I don't know. I just wanted to say that I find it very, very interesting.
Thank you, Abby. If there is no one else, shall I move on to Maria? Would you like to be...
Just 1 second. I say bye to everybody. Sorry for leaving, and then looking forward to see the recordings of the next presentations.
Thank
Ciao a
you.
tutti. Thank you.
Bye.
Eleni,
Yes.
Maria is me? Yes,
Yes.
no?
Yeah, I have to.
Okay. Hi.
Nice to have you.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yes, it's a pleasure to say hello to everybody. I don't know you in person, most of you, but I was following the Lato Mayo project last year. So, and I sent some drawings for the exhibition. So maybe you will recognize some of them now. Okay, so I will directly share my screen. Oh, let's see. Oh, I have some problems, it seems, with this. Why? It seems Zoom has been updated and now it doesn't allow me to share the screen. Or let me check, and if not, I maybe ask you to pass by to other person because I don't know why.
Okay.
No, it's working, I think. Let me check. Okay, yes, I have to go out and then to come in. Sorry. So if anybody else can present now, I will go the next. It's okay, Eleni?
Maria, yes. Who would like to go
Because I have to go out. Yeah.
Denise? No? I didn't see it.
I was in the middle of having a snack. Yeah, I can. I do my shtick now.
Thank you.
Okay, shall I start straight away? Can everyone hear me? Yes. Also the Zoom people. Okay, more important, can everyone see this? Okay, so I'll come to this action in a second. It's just a bit, it's funny, I don't know who to talk to exactly, like this way or this way. It's on purpose. Yes, total spin. So yeah, hello everyone, my name is Denise. I'm a performance artist and I met Eleni here at this residency, exactly in the space that we are in right now. And yeah, and we had an amazing time together and I'm really happy I've met her, other artists as well next to me. And I think what I'm gonna introduce to you is the project that I did here during this residency. And yeah, I mean, next to performance artist, I'm also an academic, sometimes in disguise and sometimes very openly. And I also see myself as an educator. I mean, I teach, but also I feel in my work, I'm not sure, like, I'm not saying I'm trying to teach history. I think that's like a wrong way to put it, but also this project here was partly building on the history of Berlin. So the project itself was called Tanzministerium Berlin. And kind of, I want to, so it's mainly like it's visual, how do you say, live, has mainly taken place on Instagram. It was my first time using this platform because previously I was like, I didn't like the pressure of putting my work as a performance artist in a very visual form, but also doing a residency in a place where I don't know anyone, you know, I felt, okay, this is maybe the moment to embrace a more visual language to transport the ideas of the performances themselves. So I'm gonna just put the Instagram account in the chat, and I will use it in a moment. So, sorry, another friend just arrived. Just saying that. So the project itself was trying to think of freedom of movement as a democratic practice. And what does this mean? Especially from the perspective of a city that has been previously divided through a physical wall. So where literally the freedom of movement has been restrained through physical barriers. And people have been kind of, I don't want to say trapped in it, there were ways of getting in and out, but it was super regulated. So literally bodies were under such state control in this context. So I was thinking of like, okay, how is this then practiced today? And also what is my role as an artist in residence, as a performer, but also as someone with a European passport who can move actually very freely across borders in this context. Yeah, how is freedom of movement practiced here? And I realized also for a visual translation of these ideas, of this exploration, I needed an object, and this is why I have this thing here. I'm not sure, I know the shadow, like a globe. So the globe has been kind of a central object in my performance because it's somehow an object, you know, where we can travel on with our eyes. It kind of sparks our fantasy. You know, it represents the world in a holistic way, if you want. It's not like a map where, you know, everything is cut off on the side. Like, you see the connections between the countries, but at the same time, you know, it's also deceiving because it shows it holistically, but actually it also shows us borders and how the world is divided, I mean, depending what kind of globe it is. So for my performances, I use different globes from different time periods. And one of the main ones that I carried around was one from the 1980s that I bought at the flea market here in Berlin. And I hope I can screen share now. I'm gonna go to my fabulous Instagram account, which please do not feel obliged to look at it any further because I still find this whole thing about creating follows very weird. But hold on, how do I screen share now? Let's see if that works. Okay, I'll try it differently. Okay, my own high security standards are failing me right now. Try again. Okay. Can you, yeah, because it's not working. Yeah, it's right there under the screen. Yes. So, and can you go down to the one where we went to Wannsee, like down. Just further. Ah, no, wait. No, just a bit further. This one, yeah. So just so this basically was the first trip with the globe, and it also happened with Eleni, which also was really nice. And part of this idea, you know, was also updating this globe from the 1980s that still had a divided Germany on it, to kind of say, okay, look, this is the freedom of movement today, because Wannsee, for example, was also a place where right after it, there was East Germany, so you actually couldn't cross very freely at this place. So, I mean, part of this, you know, was also this performance of posing with the globe, traveling with it. And so there was this idea, you know, like, okay, placing myself in this public space, placing myself with this kind of object, and traveling around with it. But then at the same time, another key part of the project was a dance floor that I had in my space. Yes. No, actually, if you just go now to the moon. Just let's, exactly, but that's exactly. Yes, exactly. So, yeah, so, I mean, the other point was exactly this idea, you know, okay, what does also freedom of movement mean from artistic practice that happens in a studio space? Because also being part of a residency means you have a studio space, ideally. And as a performance artist who hardly ever has a space, having lived in London before, where space is even more scarce than lots of other things, was also okay. You know, this vast space, I wanted to use it and also explore for myself in it, what does freedom of movement mean? And I had the space to install a massive dance floor, which worked at the same time as a green screen. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, excellent, excellent. And so, you know, by filming from the top onto the dance floor, like the view on the map, I was producing also a series of music videos where I kind of transported myself, but also sometimes with others, to places and thinking of where would I like to dance. And one of these places was the moon, you know, gravity-free dance. And at the same time, you know, it's also like one idea is, okay, there's full freedom of movement, but still thinking like, which body is it that is moving here freely? And also, you know, of course, always trying to be aware of identity and what does their own body signify. Thinking of us, you know, what kind of freedom of movement does my body signify in some ways? And on one hand, it's a female body, you know, with a reproductive system, which especially this year, in some places of the world, has been under more restrictions than before. So this video, which I hope we share in a moment, on the one hand is, you know, about the gravity-free dance, but it's also about an embodiment. You know, the body might be floating freely, but it's still a full body that contains a womb that, you know, has been restricted in many places. Under this notion that this womb sits outside the body, you know, that it's external. But I also was thinking, okay, it's a full body. Hence also you see in the video a flat body that, you know, is actually, so it's like this, yeah, this opposition between not full embodiment and the flat body and circling around it. So I think let's just watch the video and then, yeah, the sound works. It was just, the sound was just off. See, it's off in the video. No, in the post.
Hay milonga de amor, hay temblor de gotas.
So, and you may have recognized also the image in the background, this famous image called Earthrise, which first I think was made in the 70s. And I don't know, in like in the cultural studies field, it's also recognized as this image where the Earth for the first time was recognized as as a whole, like because it could be seen from so far away. Because before that, there never was such images from space. So this is also, if you want, one interesting aspect, at least for me, also to use the globe in imagery. I mean, it then has developed in different ways. The project, I kind of moved away a bit from the globe. Because Lenny, can you go to the pictures from the beach? No, actually I found it down. There, yeah. Because and I'm gonna stop after this, I think. So one of the other places I took the globe was to the beach, to Brandenburg and Stralsund, which also used to be East Germany. And then I played around with the globe on the beach, and I had actually really good time. And then I made these photos, and like I didn't really realize, it was just with how do you say, with timer. And then suddenly my head became the globe, and it's like, okay, I reached a new level, of embodiment in a different way and with the performance object. So at least at this point, I decided, okay, me and the globe, we had a very intimate relationship, we had a good time, but I moved on and then developed the project, not differently, but just, away from this object, which kind of always had a presence there, but other things appeared. But I think, yeah, that's enough for me to project. So thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Denise, together with Electra, who's going to present next, maybe. My closest artist in crime, I would call, because we did some crimes. So anyone who would like to comment on Denise's project? I want to share something. Okay, but I'm too close to the project, of course. Yeah, I was thinking the same. I'm gonna give space to someone else, but and we've talked so many times, we know somehow in and out, and I basically want to share with others the intimate relationship with the globe was kind of what do you say when it expands, but actually like a virus in a good way. So it's contagious. It's contagious, or either it was inspiring my intimate relationship with the plants, so putting plants in my face, so the other way around, you have it already inside you, and then it makes sense because also you connect with something else. And I think it was always nice to help each other around in our projects. Both Electra and Denise were so easily jumping into my ideas, and I believe the other way around, like we could have an understanding of the process, which was very rich. And so we could, I don't know, in my way, it was creating these new stories in my head while following Denise with the globe. But at the same time, I was in that story, and it felt as a time travel, space, head space travel, mind travel, really connecting with my mental mapping things. So and at the same time, sometimes not making sense at all, but this is actually the most grounding thing that it was happening to me. Like, yes, let's not make sense what we do. So yeah, thank you, Denise.
Maybe I could comment also something about Denise work.
Yeah, we hear you.
Well, I missed a little bit the beginning because I was going out and coming back. But what I find very interesting is this question of putting things like out of place or out of the conventional place. So to place the globe in these different places for me, it has to do a lot with democracy, because it's somehow you see something out of place, and which is your attitude. It's like you want to say, okay, no, what is this doing here? Or you are curious, or you want to understand what is the other person doing, or so. For me, it has to do with this kind of coexistence in democracy of different things, even if you find them odd or you find them weird or strange. So I just wanted to comment this, that I find this very, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
I'd also like to say something that when I was watching the Moon Tango, it just made me exhale. I just felt like a space. I felt space in my body, and I think that's exactly what it's about at the end of the day. And I kind of avoid political or like politically inspired art, and I feel very guilty about that because I'm in Berlin. But no, also because obviously it's important stuff, but usually there's this sort of heaviness and like concepts around it, and there's a high risk of that when you work on Instagram or like with a globe which is not immediately from the image, all the story that you have around it and why you're using it, but this breathing in of the body and this freshness and also this Denise-ness of the video was just so refreshing. But I was also actually thinking this throughout all the projects that they do seem embodied, and I was very thankful, like it just really feeling refreshed, and also this renewed hope of when it is grounded in the body, then it really is there. We don't have to justify it. We don't have to convince ourselves with some weird moral theories from above that we kind of know that have to be true. But it's just, is there a widening in my body or not? So yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Actually, it puts like me back to this exactly, this advantage of a residency is having that space, not only time-wise, but literally also physically. So I also could tell, how like my body having so much space, like made me think just entirely differently. So no, thank you. There's many things actually that I want to respond to what you said, but I'll leave it there. But just thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to add to thank Denise for the project. I really find it very interesting how you play with the different scales of the globe, which is actually the globe. It's something we know how big it is, but we cannot really see it. And you use it in different scales, and you use it in scales smaller than your body, and all this game with the body and the land and the globe as a symbol. I find it really very interesting. And I also see the connections with also with the plants of Eleni and the other projects. And I wanted to thank you. And I unfortunately have a plane to catch, and I will have to leave you. I will see the presentation in the recording, and I would also like to be in touch with you and to see you in person maybe in the future. Okay. So thank you. Bye.
Bye, Pelagia.
Bye.
Pelagia is another person who is leaving. It's not Eddie Pelagia. Okay, so let's move on to Maria then. Maria, I see you want to present.
Yeah, I think that now it will work.
Okay, perfect.
Sorry.
Perfect.
Okay, so well, first I introduce myself. I am PhD architect and landscaper, and I work also with the Feldenkrais method. I am a teacher of the Feldenkrais method. And since some years ago, I think always my relation with architecture was through dance, since I remember. But since some years ago, I direct also a lab about somatics for architecture and landscape. And it was a pleasure to share with Eleni a lot of things in this lab. And yeah, what I want to show you today is this approach to somatic architecture, which I'm happy that I share also with Eleni, this kind of label or something like that. So I will share my screen in order to explain you a little bit what I understand by somatic architecture. So thank you everybody for listening. Do you see my screen? Yes, I guess. Let me. Okay. So, a ver. No sé si puedo quitar esto de aquí. Wait a moment. Oh, okay. So I am architect that as I was telling you, but I work with bodies, and I work with bodies because I think they are containing all these political questions, but also ecological issues. Also, they host death and life. They host fragility, and they hold strength. So these are some of the drawings I developed from somatic experiences in order to go into architecture. So just to show you for a moment these, let's say, projects that even if they are built, let's say, in environments, they are really intertwined with bodies. In some cases, they work with movement or perception. In some others, they work with imaginarios. In some others, they work with fabrics or materials that also are, let's say, organic. And somehow my approach is to try to go into a more than human design, or how architecture can be a design for the more than human world, and how the knowledge of bodies can really teach us or can inform these environments. In order to do that, I started in 2016 what I call a somatic ethnography, developed through this lab that I told you, but also through this kind of workshops or immersive drawings in which people can be immersing in this kind of, let's say, registers, or let's say it's like we would do a kind of dissection of an experience. And my idea was to understand how the same experience have different meanings for different people. And this, for me, has also this kind of root in democracy, because I appreciate this question that appeared before about the democracy. I work with what I call radical democracy, which has to do with if we are able to host in our cities and environments a place where the different utopias of different bodies, human and non-human, can coexist. So in these workshops, I try to understand how these different views from different cultural environments and different backgrounds. I've been working with people from Europe, but also from Africa, and different also approaches from for example, cultural environments like Iran, or so it's very different, the same experience, how each of these persons can understand them. And also environments or architecture or spaces has to do with these reactions, because environments create also these moods or these, at least these dialogues. For me, bodies are their environments, vice versa. So here in these drawings, you see like the dissection of some somatic experiences that can inform this somatic architecture with which would be only somehow the architecture that is able to host in its materials, in its decisions about organization of a space and so on, the wishes or the desires of the different bodies that can inhabit this architecture. Here, for example, in this experience, I was trying to go deeper into skin and how the different sensors of skins, as you see here drawn, are able to talk about a kind of reactive architecture. Here I was going deeper into structures of the body, like the fascia or the muscles, fabrics, or the bones, fabrics, and how these structures are related also to time passing and action. So how in architecture we can think in this kind of a long time transformations and not only like a stable or close or separated entities. Fabrics of the body like this fabric of the retina in the eye are also very important for me. It has to do with the imaginarios of the possible, let's say, ornaments that we can dream by or that we can propose. And of course, this question of spatial navigation, how we move, not only following visual inputs, but also affects political issues. Our body images determine what can we do and what we cannot do. So all this about how we move in the world has to do with me, for me, with this question of how architecture, cities, or political environments of any kinds can relate with bodies. This drawing maybe is the most meaningful for me in the last season, because it's also starting a new research for me about animal bodies. But it's a somatic experience based on the Feldenkrais method that has to do with the phylogenetic patterns of movement. So here you see, for example, crawling and different patterns of movement, like the pattern of our hand opening and close, which has to do with other species. So this experience for me always was reminding us humans that we are full of bacteria, fungi, and a lot of a plethora or an orchestration of other organisms. So we are, even ourselves, we are more than humans. And we should remember we are also animals, we are coming from water, we share with other, let's say, companion species, a lot of things. So how this awareness about an imaginario of a body that hosts in itself all these different formats of life can be bring into designers, how designers, if we change our imaginaries about our bodies, how we would design. So according to this, I will just share this kind of, I would say a little bit odd project of architecture, which is based on the knowledge that the different fragments of skins, part of these ethnographies were bringing. I don't understand skin as something superficial. It's really connected with what bodies are able to bring with them. So in this map, I wanted to frame these kind of attractions or repulsions or relationships in between different bodies. So we could talk about gender issues, political issues, ecological issues, in how the different bodies relate and how the different fluxes are, let's say, affecting the space and other bodies. Bodies are carrying a lot of bodies in themselves. We have body politics, anatomical bodies, semantics bodies, perceptual bodies, the beliefs that place or that are hosted in our bodies, like some other of you have mentioned before. And also a lot of disciplines are hosted in bodies: philosophy, somatics, medicine, arts, politics again. And also the anatomies are really multiple. So from these multiple bodies, including also non-human bodies, as for example, this very fragile body of a flower, how we can start creating these interconnections, all of us like in the same frame, in a kind of democratic platform, in order to create some exhalation of an environment that grows from these relationships. For me, this is related to how non-humans design. Here you find some pictures of existing abandoned gardens that I just add little things to transform them into a kind of architecture. So what if the material of this somatic architecture can be this kind of materials that bodies exude in a natural way, let's say, in their way of existing, in their way of living, in their way of acting. So I can imagine this kind of constructed details made out of wax or cork or biolader or flowers growing or water catchers. So the architecture going out from here is this kind of architecture in which somehow we design for life. So all bodies, from insects to more than humans, entities like meteorologists or places can have a role. In this way, let's say that bodies would feed this architecture and this architecture would be able to feed bodies. I want to imagine that a democratic human body can be something like this, an interspecies body. And it's this interspecies body that I am bringing into urban designs or into cities, not only through architectural projects that you can check in my webpage if you are interested in, but also through, I just want to share a couple of images more in order to finish. Also through this kind of, this varies, through this kind of somatic activism. So what is doing in a public space, only one body apparently doing nothing, indeed is going into a deeper somatic experience, or how these bodies that deal with politics are able to place things like division, for example, in the last divided city in Europe, which is Nicosia in Cyprus, how these bodies with people living there just in the buffer zone, in the division line, how they can work with division in their own bodies. So this is, let's say, what I could propose today, how bodies are their environments, and how, if we are able to create more transversal or democratic environments, also bodies themselves can have in their imaginarios or in their memories, in their actions, more democracy somehow. And it's a kind of intertwining in between bodies and environments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you so much. Yeah, I can say just as always, it's very interesting. We were doing this class in 2020, right? We started.
Yes.
Right, the first cycle of the pandemic. So many things changed, I think, for everybody. And so they did for me. I was really glad to find you right in the beginning or at the end of 2020. Yeah, and I'm so grateful for what I learned so far and for that you're here, as everybody, of course. So if anyone has any questions, very dense presentation. The drawings are always like beyond.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that because the visuals are so impressive, and I really like the way that different species coexist on the surface along with text, and the information that is on the visual is great. And I mean, it's I was super impressed by the visuals, because they made me connect more to the ideas behind it. And yeah, it's like an amazing work from all aspects, but like that was, I love the visuals.
Well, thank you. I have to say that normally in architecture, when you have drawings that takes a lot of time, they are not done by the architects themselves, but they have a lot of people like working for you. But in this case, the drawing in itself was a kind of somatic practice for me. And I spent maybe a couple of months with every drawing because it was digital drawing by hand. And for me, it was the way of reflecting indeed. So I would do the somatic experience, I would do with other people, but then in order to connect with architecture or with other things, I needed this process in order to really enjoy it. So for me, the drawings are containing the way of learning, indeed, or also because my graphic education, I through drawing, somehow I'm able to think better. So for me, they were an experience in themselves, and I had to place time for that. Now, for example, I don't have so much time for it, and I miss it. It's like, because it takes time, but in this time, your hand is moving in a certain way, your body is moving in a certain way. And yes, they were important for me, personally, let's say also.
One thing that I was thinking while listening to your presentation was like how it became visible that there's no real boundary between the body and the environment, which is something that I'm very interested in as a physical theater artist who's constantly, the body is in exchange with the environment, but also as a human. And that was very interesting actually to bring up the environment and the way we build environments, also the way we are in environments. I also really liked the images as sort of maps. And I remembered a performance score that I had in the form of a map that actually looked very similar to your drawings. And I remember navigating through this map, and it was nice to connect to this process in this way. By the way, I got it tattooed in the end. So
wow.
It really got somatic.
I would love to see your score if it's possible at some point.
Well, I can show you the tattoo.
Ah, okay. Great. Thank you.
Can I say something? Hi, I'm also a Feldenkrais practitioner. So it was really remarkable to see your work because.
Did you recognize the ATMs?
I can see the method weaving in and out. Oh, no?
Maria Auxi, when we have a technical problem because of the echo, so we can't hear you if she's talking, just for you to know. Then she will say, and then I will unmute. Okay, got it.
Good that you're moderating because I didn't even realize.
I'm all over the place.
Okay, I can't see your face anymore. Sorry, 1 second. Where are you? I don't want to just see my face. Here we go. Yeah, so I just wanted to say that it was so amazing to experience the method through drawings and beyond. Like, it's just like I've never seen or experienced anything like your work. It's incredible. And I just think you have this fascinating combination of worlds because it's so visual. And I think like often in Feldenkrais trainings or when I'm working with people, I will draw like the relational aspects of what's happening in a session because it's so difficult to put into words sometimes also, or just from a class, like what occurs, like I think photography and also drawing really lend to that. And also I wanted to say that it's really refreshing to see you, someone in the world of Feldenkrais, use the method in a way that is much more than just semantics, because so often semantics in the relational aspect, like community, it exists sort of in this very neutral setting, you know, where the whole methodology is discussed as like, we're teachers, we're not there to therapize, we're not there to save the world, you know. And I feel like that's also problematic often because it doesn't engage like, and even the method itself is coming from a perspective of like human survival, right? So it's not acknowledging that aspect oftentimes, the way that it's taught and dealt with. And it's been like a big discomfort for me for a long time since before I became a teacher, but in going deeper. So I really enjoy your work, and it's very exciting for me to see. So thank you so much.
No, thank you very much to you. It's yeah, I was just commenting before. Do you listen? Yes. Okay. I was wondering if you were recognizing some of the ATMs, like the bell hand, for example, that are very impressive for me, I think. No, I would love, yes, to share like maybe some future exchange with artists like you that are also related to Feldenkrais, because I think indeed I agree with you that Feldenkrais has this kind of horizon really huge that we need to explore in the sense of interrelating things, because I think it's a method that in itself interrelate a lot of things, and to see the potential of it, I really, to be able to see that potential, I really enjoy it. So it's a pleasure to be able to share it with you and to have even this small conversation. I'm open for more exchange. Thank you very much.
Nice. Thank you, Maria. Well, at this point, I think we're taking a bit longer. But so I want to ask who wouldn't mind to stay, you know, to exceed the time from the ones who are presenting. I don't know. It's you, Anna, you. Natalia is also presenting. Yes, now I would recommend like we get a short break, and it's also better. And then I suggest that how much time do you agree? Like 10 to 15 minutes, or is it too much? Can be 10 that we go to the bathroom or eat something. And when we come back, we start with Vera. We do, you know, to absorb a little bit of the information. She will introduce something more somatic and movement. And then we can continue with the rest of us. Agree?
Yes, can I step in?
Yeah.
I need to go, I'm sorry. I enjoyed so much the presentations. I would even like to watch the recording and see even more things that I missed. Thank you, everybody, for the presentation. Thank you, Eleni, for always organizing the best intellectual conversations, and I hope to see you everybody in the next project. Ciao.
So the rest of us, break starts now. I'll try to put some music, but let's see how that works out. The idea was to do until 2 o'clock. Yes, Berlin time. So what time is it now? I think we have another hour. Yeah. So the idea was to do also the improvisation, you know, like to get all the ideas and then just improvise. But I don't want to, you know, keep people who want me to leave much longer. So we probably skip that. We have another hour.
Yeah.
So
I will stay till 2 as well. That's what I thought the time was.
yeah, it's the time is
the
this.
babysitter.
I just, you know, at one point I give like a time for the presentation, but it's always nice to get a feedback and not be so strict because, you know,
we're all receiving.
we have it in the
information.
moment, you know, it's like, yeah, I really like what you said for also for everything, you know, you were doing already the portraits. It felt like when you were explaining, it was as if you embodied also her poses.
Yeah.
It was so strong.
Yeah, because I was going to show her, but I will email her later. I do a piece that has those things already for me, so it is in my body. That's the work that I did. This is the collaboration with the photographer. This photo, the social media campaign, and like I became a brand, body transform, and I did nails, my hair, and it's called Weta. It's like it's white Mexico, it's based in Tijuana. So the whole piece.
Are you from Mexico or is it from
David from Mexico? And I was working there for 8 years, and that was my base. And so, yeah, so my kind of beauty and the male gaze and how we are understood through the male gaze, gesture, deconstruct the body. They definitely using Merlot Ponty and yeah, I messaged Maria because Valley Export is now the somatic activism photos that she's doing. Valley Export. But yeah, the work eventually became like a whole sort of montage. It's a performance, so it's an intimate performance for a small audience, and I would do it also. Also, there's 2 versions. One is performance with a small audience, and then we have a conversation for an hour with a dialogue about what we've seen and understood. And then the other part, actually an urban environment where I would just go into the space, be person. So yeah,
I would love to. I mean, whenever I'm here,
I'm performing it anymore.
Okay, you don't perform this.
Well, it's a question I've had. My body and my intentions have changed a lot since then, and it's very demanding. Also emotional.
But you also have video.
Oh, I have tons of video. Yeah, I'm trying to find the thing that I was wanting to show you. Here we go. I know. Yeah, this was one of the first big festivals that like showed my whole information. So I got hair extension, nails.
Because I've also fantasized of, you know, I think these fantasies that also come to me, seeing what women are, or what images they create for themselves. And I'm not that, but at the same time, I have this fantasy. I don't know if performance justifies that or helps me process these images. It's like, oh, as a performer, I can do whatever I want. You know, I can become this person, but it's also, for me, performance shows me, you know, what are the things that I secretly desire, but sometimes not allowing myself, you know what I mean? Or at the same time, they are coming as images to me. And I just try to mentally put myself into the shoes of image to understand it, maybe, you know.
This piece was really born of like a discomfort, actually, maybe not so much a desire, but a discomfort to understand, because I was in a situation, I lived in Tijuana, so this performance was that this is the piano bar. Next to the piano bar is the strip club. The soundtrack
use percussion, strict music, dance.
Okay.
And this is close to the red lights. And there's a lot of like white adoration in Mexico around white people being the ideal.
Wow, yeah, okay.
And so I was breaking that down to how I was being constructed through that gaze. And that meant for me to represent power and like power that like,
Yeah.
that's when we can be back to different audience members. Like, oh my God, you're like perfect model, Barbie doll, versus oh, you're like a transvestite. There's so many depths to that. And some people like have references, yes, to sex work. They brought that in. It's different people saw different things based on like their own projection, but it was all there in the piece too. So, but for me, it was like something about having to process this and also having to process the existence of those aesthetics in dance. Yeah, to try to understand like why was my conflict with this needing like this feeling of like being forced to live it all the time. Yeah, which comes a lot from me having a very like curvy body, but having ballet training and all these like cross references. Like how dialogue and
social references, right? Or
yeah,
artistic
and the comments on us as human, like how like if we're good enough, like how it is. Yeah, there's lots of video on this page.
I would love to see more, and actually, what I mean,
you're holding space for everyone.
Yeah, but I mean,
are yeah.
But you are presenting now. No. No. No, no. Joking. Sorry, you are last. No, no, don't do it. It was like. So we're almost ready. So. And Vera, you are ready.
Can you hear me? Can someone tell me if I know that you can hear me here, but there, I hope.
Yes, we can. We can hear you. We can hear
Yes.
you.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Nice. Oh yeah, I know you can hear me, but can you listen? Sorry. Yeah. Okay, so this is a short, really short practical presentation of a project I've been working on for some months now here, like 8 months. And it's called, bear with me, it's called Unplanting the Seeds of Hatred. Because, and the really short background is that I come from Russia and then came from Russia with the beginning of the war. And here, I stayed here with an artist visa, but since all these 8 months, so many things are happening, and at the same time, many conflicts are happening, for sure, between different nations, of course. And as being Russian, I also feel that these conflicts are really there, and so in order not to be afraid of anything that's happening, and in order not to be like trying to deleted somehow. I decided that we just can continue working on this project. And the title is taken from Yuval Harari, is a philosopher who was saying at the beginning of the war that Putin is planting the seeds of hatred for many generations. And immediately this idea came to me that, okay, if we're planting the seeds of hatred, can we work with the unplanting the seeds of hatred? And so there is a whole like practice that is connected to that. And so we are going to do a little bit a short excerpt from this practice. It's easy. Okay, so let us just sit, or I don't know, you can stand, lay down, doesn't matter. It's a really, really open space. And can you remember a recent event of hatred that happened to you, to someone else? Maybe you witnessed something, anything that's coming to mind. We are not going to talk about it, just to have it in your body. Now do you feel that there is some kind of an object of like something special is happening with the body, something that has been changed? It doesn't matter if you have your eyes open or closed. There is just this object that's different from what was before in your body. And you might feel where it's located or not. Or not. And in order to, like in phenomenology, there are these two notions of transparent and opaque bodies. And now we are going layer by layer, take away our body until it's becoming transparent, so we can feel only this presence, this object of this event. I do this with touch, with self-touch. So like taking off the layers on my body, and yeah, just like wishing away everything that can become transparent. Or also there are many possibilities, so it will be like a fan of varieties always. So I'm also using kind of embryology at times. So we are wishing away, making our body transparent, making every object of us transparent, letting only one object of this event there. And maybe everything that our bodies are is just matter. Just matter, just environment where this event is situated right now. So there is just in this bodily, sensational something event of hatred in us. And the rest is the environment that supports it, that embraces it. Yeah. And now we're ready to go into the practice. And the practice would be that we have 5 minutes to create any process that would either plant this seed further and let it grow, or unplant it, or dissolve it, or yeah, or make it becoming a part of our bodies. So everybody is becoming like an artist that is creating a practice for themselves for 5 minutes, doing that. Anywhere, in any form. And slowly find a way. Somewhere back. um, um, yeah, I mean, I don't want to ask like feedback or anything because of your own practice also that's been there. It's just like getting to the to the theoretical part of it, the description, how it happens. We are usually meeting once in several months, and then we are having some expert or someone who first talks about hatred from some specific point of view. Like last time we had neuroscience speaker who was speaking about what are the neural circuits for hatred and how they're produced and so on. And then we also have take time, much more, of course, for creating our own practice. And then also we come back together and we are having this trip of sharing the practices. So like without any intervention, without any stop, without any pause, we are just going one into the other. And so it is becoming like the whole trip of practices. And also without trying to, of course, evaluate or judge it somehow, or judge somehow the events of hatred, or like connotate them negatively or positively, it doesn't matter. You're just taking it in as some kind of a object in a body, and like what it evolves into, what are our patterns of evolving it, how can we play with it, and also all the practices that we create. They like why I think that this is connected to democracy. It is connected to, in a way, to losing authorship and losing hierarchy, because we are combining, we're creating the whole archive of these practices that everybody can afterward use in all their artistic works, in all their performances, in everywhere and anyhow they want. And so this is becoming a collective effort, pop-up effort of growing field of practices. And at the same time of also recognizing that the events of hatred are happening, and they're happening quite often. And yeah, and so you can bring it every time you are stuck with some of these events in you. For example, I was like yesterday, I was stuck with some of these events, and I brought it here so I can also transform it while embodying or not embodying or imaginary embodying it, because of course it's a set of mental representations, and we understand that it's not like per se a somatic approach, and it's not like per se something that's working with the real body. Yeah, that's it, maybe. If there are any
Thank you very much,
comments?
Raya. Anyone would like to share or comment? Yeah.
Maybe just asking, these meetings that you talk about, are they open? Can people join?
Yes.
Berlin or here?
Yes.
So I was just
sorry, I just switched it up.
Yeah. Well, I was just asking whether these meetings, where they take place, and if there are like open spaces that people can join.
Yeah, it's it's an open source, like it's open meetings. They pop up every several months, and there is a group that's they can join, and like the documentation, the whole archive will be open to you. So yeah, it is in Berlin. Yeah, it's in continuation right now. Yeah, but the thing is that because it's like quite a recent project, I also don't know what will happen out of it. So for now, it's just some kind of growing something that will become something in the end, but maybe not. So it's like I love this, like being in this shifting process. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I could also just like talk like, you know, and pretend like I'm another way. I just wanted to, it's like really cool, the research, because I'm doing this thing right now about affect in societies. And I'm doing it's for a master's dissertation. So it's much more like from an autoethnography perspective, and working also with somatics and dance improvisation. But your work answered a question of mine, which is like, I've been looking at like more of the affect in the moment of and I'm doing it more from the lens of social injustice rather than hatred, but like how we engage affect through the body in a moment of injustice, right? And and how like maybe somatics and dance knowledge can inform that as a possibility for experiencing it differently, transforming it, working with it. But a question that you've answered for me is like, I was looking a lot at the moment of, and now having you discuss your process of like, because my work is also relational, but I'm doing it from the first person I of the researcher as participant, also because of the academic frame and like ethics and stuff. But when you are dealing with these practices and co-creating the practices consistently and everything, it's helping me think about the before and after and like why these things relate and like why I'm talking about dance and somatics as a practice relation to that moment, right? It's like the bridge for me when I see your work. So it's very helpful. Yes. Yeah, really amazing.
I think we have to, thank you very much. I think we have to move on so that we can have some time. So Anna?
Okay, I will sort out my screen and stuff. 1 minute.
For the computer?
Yes. Thank you. Then I'll ask two. Does anyone have another two? Okay, I will be quick because that's my battery is running low.
Okay, we can share.
Perfect.
I have these if you want.
And I think that for now I'm good. So, right, maybe I wait.
Is it okay? Are you okay to stay a little bit longer? Because there is also a presentation from Alicia who's in Mexico. And it's 20 minutes, but yeah, she's not here, so I give her some more space. And so it would be nice if there are also on her some comments so that she can look after in the recording.
So we request to watch it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I know you have to go, but because she's not here and she's not engaging or participating, it would be nice that she hears, listen to some feedback on her presentation. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm sorry for the delay, but then
This is so rich. That's why there's a delay. I mean, when do we get to do stuff like this?
I know, but you know, I want to be respectful of your time, but at the same time, it was like, okay, things need to be good. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Eleni, for inviting me. When you did that, I was really triggered by the imaginary garden parts, and related to a project I've been doing a few years ago, but that is like stuck in the imaginary world. That's why I will take it today. It's a concept that I would like to share with you. And my background, I'm a scenographer. I come from performance, from theater, and I've worked with games in public space for a long time. And I also have a master's in spatial strategies, and I'm interested in interactions and stuff that people can share together. And my project is this one. And I would invite you to close your eyes now. So I'm going to read it to you. So the project I was thinking about, I would have liked to do, is called Cloud Making, a down-to-earth pop-up laboratory exploring cross-community encounters in downtown San Francisco. Goes like this. If more and more pressure is applied to a closed system, it will become foggy, tense, stiff, and blocked until it bursts. But if you open the system, it will produce something beautiful. I learned how to make a cloud in San Francisco. And now I want to share a video with you, but wait until I have found it. So, get back here. Okay, so you can open your eyes now and learn how to make a cloud. And I have to make the sound. How does that work? Eleni, how does it work? You know? Mhm. No. Oh, that's sad. Isn't there an option when you start the Zoom on? In the Zoom, yeah. Audio. Did you put in the did you share the sound in the screen share? Yeah. Wait, okay, wait. I do. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's this one. Okay, right. Okay, I try again. No, it's not working. It's fine. I will maybe we can just watch it mutedly. So this is a person showing us how to make a cloud. And he's applying a lot of pressure to a half-empty bottle of water, like saying a lot of nice words until he does that. And I think the text goes like, if you cannot apply any more pressure, well, he still can. Yeah, there you go. So, and then he says something like, well, this is how you, basically can produce a cloud. So that was the inspiration for my project. And now you can close your eyes again, and I will share the rest of the text with you. Where is it? So this made me think. Luckily, humans are not closed systems, even if this is how many of us go and are about and snap. In a social world under pressure, maybe talking about different levels of pressure is the only common ground that we share and need to address in order to wonder about the openness of the system called world that we not only find ourselves in, but are actually creating together. How much can you take until you snap? Downtown San Francisco is an area under great financial pressure. It drives a lot of people away, however, attracts hundreds of others, humans among other entities. A cross-section of American society is physically and digitally present. Plants, animals, systems, high-tech companies, people with and without money. From pigeons having fun in public space to homeless sitting still in the park while business people take yoga classes next to them. Every one of those might place themselves somewhere in this cycle of pressure, I called it, cycle of pressure and survival, like goes like this: self-exploration, self-optimization, burnout, survival, self-exploration, self-optimization, burnout, survival, and it goes on. So that's the basis. And then I thought, still all of these people rarely seem to meet. Mustn't like every being in the cycle have something to share with the others because they are in the same thing? And I was wondering, could we playfully research how those encounters might happen? And I was thinking, could we somehow perceive downtown San Francisco as a multi-species community garden? And I proposed the cloud making laboratory that would pop up in 7 very different areas around downtown and invite people to take a good look around, equipped with methods from playful interaction and participatory art to create encounters. I thought it would be helpful to speculate together and think about these things together, like how can we actually meet, what we need to do, leave a question, leave a mood, like leave a song that you want others to enjoy, leave your favorite sun location, leave money, take money, describe somebody you want to be part of the garden. Like I was thinking about all these things that we could maybe share there. You could choose somebody that you would like to be or an entity you would like to have the perspective of, describe the experience. You could be playful, be against it, just be present. And I imagine the lab to be like a hybrid, present in both public and physical space and digital space. So like a series of moments, a bit like a cloud that is hovering through the city, but then also visible to access. And I would stop here. So leave you with some images of that, some sparks.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Anyone would like to comment or share?
Maybe I can comment something. So thank you, Anna. I find really great how in different spots of a city could appear this kind of cloud, which change the habitual perception of things, because normally visually we are really dominated by that. But then with the blurriness of the cloud, I think you really can create new relationships, or it's a way of create community through the event. So through feeling everybody something together. So I encourage you to develop it, and I would like to be in the place where you do it when you do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aria.
I wanted to say that, so you were giving me images and then like my brain was just like, woo, images. And like, especially the way you use language to repeat the survival, self-optimization, burnout, survivals. So like, I am American, so I'm very familiar with this culture. And I like felt like, yeah, the paradigm of like how like Americans are just like push down, push down, push down, push down to like perform everything. And it's a cultural thing that you can feel. I think a lot of people leave the US for these reasons. They feel it, you know, in terms of being, some people want to go there for that reason, and some people leave because they're from there and they're like, no more. It's a rejection. But there was like an automatic, the cliche of the hamster and the wheel. And then have you ever been to like American gyms, which are now starting to proliferate all over the world, like Fit One here in Berlin and these kinds of things, but you know, all the treadmills, and it's like
that to me is like the people on the treadmill is like the survival, and they're all on the treadmill and they're trying to do self-optimization until they burn out. Like it's literally this, like I have to stay healthy, so survive and self-optimize, and then I will die, like in this continuous cycle. And then I thought like, so I just saw all these people like running on these things. And then the gyms are really big too. They're like, it's a stage too, because you can see the people they're like above you on the second floor, and then you're down below, and you're like all these people looking great and fit and acting this way. And then the next thing that I thought was like, when you were talking about the cloud, like, and then the communities coming together in the different spaces in San Francisco and all the different transactions, like taking money, giving money, those things were really powerful for me to hear. And then I thought, like, what if the treadmill transforms? Like it's like a conveyor belt, but like above your head, like a cloud, and like people can offer their things, like, and it's like on a rotating thing, like almost like the luggage belt as well. And those things that are given and taken away and shared are like arriving, and people are like coming into this like cloud space. I don't know, it just like, I felt all these things, because I also envision San Francisco has a lot of different levels, and so it's like you're under and above and lots of things like that.
Thank you. Yeah, one thing I just felt, your project embodies also the idea of how I imagine this symposium, because it's the first time I do it, and I was improvising a little bit. So I thought, okay, we come. I don't know how to structure this. That's what I said in the invitation, is an unstructured structure that I provide. And I imagine all these ideas and projects coming as a cloud. I didn't have any intention, because I didn't know what project each one of you will bring. So the concept is that you take what you need and you also left something. And then this cloud is still there. It's this space in between us that is created now. So it defragments itself. So after some time, there will be these connections also in our brains, and the concept it's themselves. And I think it works. I mean, on one hand, it's like imaginary, or it's like a mental picture that I have, but I think it's an experience as well. Excellent, thank you. I will go to Natalia. Natalia.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. My connection was a little bit unstable, so I hope it got better. So yeah, I'm Natalia. I'm architect, specialized in digital technologies, and also lately in the past years exploring movement and stillness through somatics, and lately non-dual Shaiva Tantra philosophy and practice. So I am going to make a presentation of a project that is still kind of a work in progress, but I somehow related it to this topic of embodied democracies, and also I think it's perfect after Anna's presentation. So, okay, let me see. Do you see the presentation? Okay. So yeah, this is a project that is, this is just like, I was thinking about how to even name it when Eleni asked, like, send me a title. And it was kind of like, I was thinking it has to do with communities, with imagination in communities, and co-creation, co-imagination through play. So these questions arise. How can we use the body in action to enhance creativity and imagination? How can we do that in community? And how can the different physically embodied and virtually embodied communities benefit from each other in this? So for me, I'm always, well, Eleni and Auxi know that I'm always kind of wanting to bring the digital and the physical together in some way. And because I have this technology background, so in a way, that is how, yeah, I'm approaching also this project. This project started as a design of a play for children and, well, children and curious adults that I did during the pandemic with this artist, visual artist friend. And this is basically a kind of a 3D puzzle with all these different pieces that you can fit in any way possible. So it's in a way, it's an unstructured play where there is no final result and there is no objective, actually. It's just the play in itself. And we really wanted it to be embodied and like, so the size of the pieces is really like they are between 30 and 50, 60 centimeters, more or less. So this gives you kind of a, allows for embodied conversation with the structure and also gives you not only visual feedback, but haptic and kinesthetic. So, and we were inspired in this idea of natural formations like this one is called the desert rose. It's a crystal and clouds. So, and one of the actual quotes we got at that moment was this one from Junya Ishigami, who's a Japanese architect. And the idea how clouds also like, or this kind of formless, ever changing, ever transforming open structure could allow for a new kind of imaginaries through play. So this is a little bit just the first steps in the process. This, yeah, the idea is that we, through exploring this, like putting into practice, we also kind of discovered that it allows for a very interesting interaction between the participants, in this case, parents also, caregivers, caretakers. So it allows like for interaction and conversation and creation of stories in communities. So we were curious about how can we maybe expand this project to communities. And now we are kind of using these very different platforms, which is or communities, you can say, which one is Africa Burn is this version of Burning Man in Africa. So we, through Reset, which is a group of people with whom I work on these kind of projects. We already did one project in Africa Burn 4 years ago, and it's a kind of interesting playground for exploration of of like small scale installations. And then on the other hand, there is this community of like digital, very technology oriented people who work with blockchain and which is particularly interesting also for this and might be considered an enemy maybe for embodiment and, you know, like all that we talk about. But for me, it's interesting to really go, I mean, I've been going a little bit deep into this, into understanding these technologies because they are allowing for new kind of decentralized systems, which can really benefit in some ways if we, depending on how we actually use them. So they can really benefit the let's say the real world. So kind of merging these two together in this project we are now creating, the idea is to bring this structure to this festival, but not only to explore kind of like the shape and like a participative design or participative play, where you can really explore like with the shapes and this kind of stuff, but also how can we materialize it in a participative way. So we are kind of designing a system where this will, like, every piece will be financed by a participant also, and kind of curated, like the content of the piece will be curated also through the use of NFT technology, blockchain technology. So each piece can have kind of an identification in a digital world, and in this way relate to the physical, like bring the two worlds together. So at the end, we're not going to burn the structure. We're going to donate the pieces to hopefully to schools. So in that way, we can generate kind of this dialogue between these two very, very separated and different communities, like local schools and the digital blockchain community, and really, yeah, kind of the idea is to create a dialogue, like and a feedback. So maybe we will have like the participants asking questions to children from schools, and children through play, through the design play, kind of responding and sending it to the digital platform, which we are also like kind of creating in parallel. So yeah, this is the actual thing we are still working on, and yeah, wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Natalia. Anyone?
I could say something, but I think Natalia has a lot of input from me. So if somebody else prefers, if not, I will say something.
Maria, yes, you can start. I mean, I also know Natalia. I didn't know this project, but also the rest of us here would be, I think they would love to hear.
Okay. No, I think this this project, Natalia, is very interesting. I mean, how through action you and let's say the physical or experience of bodies, you can enhance imagination, and how this is related also to this kind of universe of pieces somehow, which is more digital, but then is connected to a physical action. I think that in this case, it's like this environment that is enacting some answer from the body is nice because it's not fixed. It's like this cloud that also you were mentioning. So I find this interconnection in between how actions shapes environments and how environments shapes bodies, and how this is related to imaginarios of communities. And probably this piece in Africa is going to be totally different than if you put it in Berlin or so. Yeah, congratulations. It's very nice. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. Anyone else?
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. I was immediately thinking of this idea of somatic playgrounds that some of us had while seeing that, like with somatic experience of like real materialistic perception and of real assembly and disassembly with your own hands, like enacting this idea of doing something in the world, and at the same time to not have any objective at all while doing that. So for me, it's like it's really important part of the something that's growing, and I think like those kind of spaces are really necessary. I don't want to say this word necessary, but it's really something that's coming up more and more. So it's a beautiful piece for such a somatic playground. Thank you.
Thank you. I also wanted to share that I Actually, yeah, again, I didn't know what to expect from this presentation, and it really fits to the project here. So, and also in a way, it activates my idea that I had before. And one of the very first ideas of how to approach the embodied democracy was to create a game, a spatial game. I didn't know exactly what it would be, but it made a lot of sense because I was reading about the psychology of gaming and how people can recover through gaming, especially, yeah, this psychologist was talking even about the digital gaming, the computer gaming, that even in children who are in the hospital, it could really calm their nervous system and then heal faster or without all the stress of the process. And this really sparkled an idea of yeah, using the game as part of how we can experience this embodiment of democracy. And yeah, it made me have a lot of thoughts about, you know, you mentioned it at some point, maybe there can be a content on the pieces and then people create this space, which is an object and a space at the same time. And at the same time, it contains all the projection or the imaginaries of the participants within that cloud. So I found it, you know, super interesting. Yeah, thank you. So let's move on. It's like Electra and Alicia. You want to go?
Yeah. It's okay. So thank you. Thanks for having us, Eleni. It's been a great day, and it's been a great few last months being here together at this residency. Hi, everyone. I'll try to keep it short. So basically, we were called here to do something on, like, with the title of it was Picturing Democracy. And so I'm a visual artist, and I'm also a researcher, and I've been doing a PhD for the past few years. I started researching narrative in relation to philosophy and how narratives start growing and taking, you know, space, like in all different senses, and how they're dispersed, and how we rework them to fit our own narrative sometimes. So I focused on fairy tales, on everyday, you know, conversations of how we present ourselves or things that have happened to us, et cetera, et cetera. And at that point, I was really interested in sleep and all the narrative that kind of finds its way before we sleep, what we read to each other, what we read ourselves before going to bed, and things like that. So then I have this tendency to start these huge projects that take up a lot of space and time and involve people. And then I start accumulating information and texts and things, and it never stops. And then COVID struck. So I had no option, really. I had to kind of find a way to do these projects, but from afar. And because I really like making things in a way that can be experienced through the body, and that they can be immersive and they can be touched and smelled, etc., I couldn't do that anymore. So in the big installations that I used to do, I have sculptures and soft sculptures and voice, things that people can lie on and use, but then I couldn't do this anymore. So I started thinking, what can I do? What can I focus on that can still work, and have the same ideas kind of, but not require this presence in that way. So I started looking into smell more, because it was a part of my practice anyways. So I would make sense for my installations. I started reading more about smell, because it's one of the most overlooked senses. I mean, even by saying overlooked, we imply vision, we imply what we see, and basically what we, how we live our lives is mostly through vision and through hearing. So I started focusing on smell more and the politics related to it. And I started asking myself, can we kind of link the political to our noses? Is there like any way to do that? Then I found all these very smart politicians who actually use scent in their campaigns and, you know, in various ways. I'm like, okay, this is strong and very intrusive marketing, and maybe I need to look into that more. So now I'm going to share part of the project that I started making. I came here and I was like, okay, what can I do? I want to look into the narratives from Berlin, and I want to look into scent. So I just started roaming the streets and gathering materials and talking randomly to people. And if, you know, conversation kind of was led in that political kind of, you know, space, I would ask them, so how does this opinion smell to you? Or how does, maybe they would talk to me about populism, for example, and I would ask them, how does populism smell to you? Or I had this discussion with the man downstairs who has the video club, and he told me, oh, Berlin is very, he used this word, that it's like a treadmill basically, and work. And I was like, so how does this smell to you? And I would gather all these opinions and all these conversations, and I took all this material to the studio where I made a mini lab, a DIY lab, really. I don't know if you can see this. So these are pictures that B Minor took for me. I'm very grateful for them. He's here somewhere. Basically, I distilled, you can see the dirt here. I distilled dirt around Berlin and items around Berlin. And then I combined them with olfactory molecules, scent molecules that I ordered. And made all these experiments really to see how that would go. And this ended up into this, let me share again from another source, into this piece, which you can see here, like I'm trying to explore if olfaction is related to dominant discourses in politics, and whether it's just in the realm of the visceral and instinctive and chemical, or if we can, you know, expand on it. And I wanted to think of it as a way to relate to one another differently and imagine different ways of connecting with each other through scent. Also, there's a lot of research on the matter that, you know, smell is culturally specific. So we tend to like what we perceive all the time, and whatever is perceived as different or from, you know, or strange, we tend to kind of, you know, push it away because it's unfamiliar. And if you with the exception of things that smell badly because our body tries to protect us from eating them, or, you know, coming, you know, to touch them or things like that, because it would be very dangerous for our bodies. So here I have with me some things that I brought that unfortunately the people online cannot smell, but you can, I can, like, I don't know, describe them. So this vessel contains a lot of distilled water from things that I gathered around the residency. So it's a distillation of the residents' dirt in a way. So like from years and years that have passed, because I found some in weird corners of our residency. This is, yeah. It's strong. This is some dirt from around Berlin that doesn't smell that strong because we're used to it right now. We're in it. So if you might be almost anosmic to it, not really realize what's in there. Yeah. And here is a small vial that contains a chemically produced smell of rain and ground. So the smell that is around us when we, when we are outside and it just rained and we're in nature. So I used the residence smell and Berlin smell as a base, really, and worked on top of it with opinions that I gathered around the city from random people or people that I know. And I made these tiny vials that you can see here. I burned them sealed, and people can break them and smell them. So basically there's this plate here, the glass plate, that you can pour the scents inside. So the scents accumulate one on top of the other, like they accumulate when we coexist in the city. And so basically the work is this. Oh, I can't change. Can I change? Yeah. These are some details. I braided a wool braid from animal, wool, and I put the vials in, and they can be broken in time to be smelled one on top of the other. And along the way, I from all the meetings I had with people and experiences that I was reminded from the past, I wrote some small texts that I refer to as poems. Maybe they're not, they're textual fragments, no one knows, they're words. So they kind of like accumulate on top of the other. I made them in PVC foil. You can see through them and read them separately or together, like the scents that can work separately or together. And I made also a few other objects that were important along the process, like this pillow that carries an experience of me from Athens. I scented it with an impression of burning Athens, really, and blossoming flowers, because there were some there was some political trouble at the time, and I remembered the scent of the city at that point, and I tried to recreate it. And some photos, some found photos that I found very relative to the practice itself. A black animal that the wool might have been, taken from, and the man holding his nose because of the very unpleasant situation. Olfactory situation. So that's pretty much it. It's like a way to renegotiate relationships through our noses and talk about opinion in different terms, in terms that are not maybe politically, as you said before, heavy perhaps, or focus on how they make us feel, instead of analyzing them in a very, in a debate or in a very serious way. So that's what the project has been so far. Yeah. So I hope I kept it short. And
You kept it interesting.
Yeah. Thank you. Oh, I would also like to invite everyone to smell things around, maybe people at home, why not? I know you can't smell the condensed things that I brought here, but if you can, and if your noses are, we can train our noses basically. So I'd like to, encourage everyone to smell more and experience, the world around through the nose a bit more, and keep an open mind, because it's one of the things that, you know, we try to curate a lot, and we're not really open to different smells. So like an animal would be curious, for example, you know, our pets just will sniff anything and just, you know, get the information and then leave. So it is stored in the brain somehow, and yeah, we can keep an open nose, really. So yeah, that's about it.
Say something about, unfortunately, my laptop died. Is yours?
Yes.
To tell you something. Anyways, hello again. Still here. My laptop's not. But is there even anyone that's not in the room anymore?
No,
Oh,
it's
one
still, it's
person.
also Alicia, so it's
Okay.
we continue speaking on the.
Okay. Yeah, so we're anyways. It was incredibly interesting. But also I've been thinking about that lately when putting on perfume. They have those beautiful perfumes. Like my dad has an amazing sense and he doesn't know what else to gift me for Christmas. So it's always a nice perfume. And I love them. But lately it's felt violent to spray them on. Like even though before I used to really love it and really identify with it, and I still kind of do, but ever since I got like some especially big bottles, I was like, okay, so this is gonna be my scent for a while. And I was like, what is my scent even? Do people know my scent? And especially because I change my perfumes a lot, and there's people who at least have a signature scent. And I'm like, I have one that I think is my signature scent, but I change it all the time. So do people smell me? And that was actually, that really started to concern me. Also yesterday, I removed my hair, and you know, hair is, it contains your smell. And I was like, but why? And in a way, like, it's sort of paradoxical as well, because in a way I definitely did it to feel more attractive, but actually biologically what makes us attracted to people is their smell. And I was just like, what the fuck? And it was a really nice conscious input on your side to you know, a conscious invitation to explore the world and also to embrace natural smells and smells in general. And I found it really interesting to smell Berlin and literally not smell it.
Yeah, because you're in it.
Exactly. And I'm just kind of like your own smell in a way, and you don't know. But yeah, I'm very interested. Thank you.
Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, perfume wise, it's a huge discussion on how we choose to smell, because culturally right now, what is acceptable is not a heavy perfume or a person who doesn't shower and has their natural smell. It's just the inodorate business person. You know, what is accepted widely right now is, yeah, and wildly is the inodorate person. And in places where the cities are, you know, very smelly or huge or polluted, like Tokyo, for example, like in Japan, it's rude to smell, either good or bad, because you take up more space with your smell. So you know, this kind of like smelling nicely with a perfume is a bit a bourgeois habit in a way, that we scent ourselves the nice way, but we do take up space with the smell. And there are also certain philosophies like kind of insist on you being as transparent scent-wise as possible, as inodorate as possible. And it's really interesting. For example, I have a signature perfume. I don't change it. It's annoying to me. It's annoying to my nose. I keep it, you know, consistent. I change it every 10 years or whatever when I feel the urge to smell differently and I'm tired of what I put on. But yeah, it's also one of my previous experiments, and I wrote a paper on this recently. I developed this scent that was supposed to be worn as a perfume, but it didn't smell nice. And it smelled really natural, like animals, like things from animals' glands, ground, fungi. It was a very earthy, musty smell that I asked people to wear and come back with stories. And it was really interesting to see this, to listen to the stories and how they experienced. For example, more than half of them at first didn't want to wear it. And then they felt liberated that they didn't care how they would smell at the office, which was very funny. They were like, yeah, unapologetically stinking, or like, yeah, okay. So yeah. It's a fun experiment, really, to send yourself in different ways.
Can I just add something? There is this poetic idea in embryology, like really poetic idea, that the sperm has scent receptors and they are looking for the egg that smells like lily of the valley.
Oh.
I don't remember where I got it from. I need to find an article, but like, well, so like it's our first sensation is that at all.
But that's so interesting because yesterday in a class with Vera, we were modeling like sperm, how it's meeting the egg and something. And my partner who I was doing this with, he told me to follow the smell. So like,
what it's there. And we also get attracted to like-minded people. And, chemically, there's this very interesting article that like conservatives are more easily disgusted than liberals, which is, it has been like, they have conducted this very, thorough research about it.
Disgusted by smell.
Yeah, disgusted by smelly things, really. So.
And also, are you going to go into the collaboration with BKG to sell the smell of Berlin?
Oh no, I'm not that good yet. If I get all the so this is a very DIY smell of Berlin, really, because it would take a very expensive how do you call it, this technology that you collect the molecules and then you go back to the lab and recreate it chemically. So I'm not in that position yet, but why not? I hope this day will come. Yeah, there's this artist really who's been doing amazing work, Cicel Tolas, and she has I think she also she's here, she's in Berlin, and I think she has the scent of Berlin in a vial. Yeah, a little bit, because in different parts of the city, yeah, you get a different whiff of stuff.
I want to bring you to the last one because it's Alicia and we recorded her presentation yesterday. So she is in Mexico. And thank you, Letra, and everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I'm so happy to be here. My name is Alicia Escamilla. I am Mexican. I am trained as architect. My practice is as an artist, multidisciplinary one. I explore and research about the identity of humans through the inhabiting mind, beauty, body, and world. And this time I'm coming with a project that it's called Seedscapes that I've been developing since 2016. And we just started with exploring a seed. It appeared in my urban garden, and well, there is a more long story behind, but well, the point is that seed triggered everything in that selected words that I am sharing with you. I decided to showing this time because of the topic that Eleni is somehow extending to all of us, the imaginary gardens. Somehow I think that project is linked to this one in terms of how to somehow questioning about the world that we inhabit, imagining how it could be, in that case, built with seeds. In my project, I mean. So, okay, if you're ready, I can share with you my presentation. So that means that.
Are you allowed to share, or do I have to do something? Can you try?
Yeah, it says that you allow me. Oh.
It's ultra meta.
I'm trying, but I don't know if my screen is already shared. So anyway. Well, this is my project. Seedscape series. It started from developing, as I said here, an intimate bond with the seeds, which allowed me to think of those as a sophisticated design developed by nature. And that I thought it was like a capsule that that contains the creation codes. So that's why I call that first project substance architecture. As well, you can see here in that image, I started collecting since the first seed, all the ones that I was related with through my food, through my also sowing on my urban garden. And it took me about 3 years to collect, identify, classify almost 50 different seed species. Well, once I made that classification, I started to feel kind of like a botanical person. I mean, somehow that led me to understand how the worlds, the landscapes, the cultures also are product of the seeds. At some point, nothing of the places that we already know in the present, in the modern cities, wouldn't exist without the agricultural revolution. So the nomadic transition to the sedentary lifestyle, it was triggered by a seed, by the wheat in that case, in the most of the cultures in Europe. So for me, working with that collection of seeds was telling me about the landscape, was telling me about how as humans we are building the world in general. Well, I started to make an hypothetical idea of, well, which was the first anthropic kind of monument of architecture that we as humanity established on the landscape, and it was the menhir. So I made a series of photographs where I installed so 3 different type of seeds. Mango is one of the seeds. So I create a kind of narrative to placing that seeds and talking about how there is somehow that's it. Consider I'm here through this all the civilizations were hypothetically grown. So to me, it was a way to representation, a way to reflection, a way to as I say before, I relate so much this project with imaginaries, because somehow my project consists basically in that, to take conscious of the importance of the seeds around the world, and at the same time to understand that the world wouldn't exist without seeds. We are kind of at this point of the time of humanity on link from the seed. I heard some kids, for instance, that they know how to eat an apple, but definitely they don't know that an apple comes from a tree. They don't know that the seeds come from that apple, that the tree, the seeds are the capsule that contains all that landscape, that environment, that all that ecosystem, and all the potential and the beauty that is within that seed. So after I work with collected seeds, I work with the many years, I started to think about how the landscape is perceived through the manipulation of that seeds to create cultures in a specific culture. So for instance, in the left, I have kiwi seeds, which is something that relates me to the Caribbean cultures. And it's only a line configured by the seeds. By one hand, we can only contemplate. You can imagine the scale of that postcard. I mean, the seeds are around a millimeter height. So it's a way to contemplate, to take time, to take the pause for looking at those seeds and recognize them, that it's not only like, well, with the seeds, we can recognize the culture. Also with the seed, you can recognize, as I said, somehow the ecosystem. All the type of vegetation is so related between in a type of ecosystem. I mean, where there are kiwis, there are also another tropical fruits, another elements that make a particular place and also a particular culture. But this is the simplest thing. That's why I represented that landscape, that process landscape, with a line. With a circle, I represent, in that case, a Chardonnay with that grape seed. And well, here I am talking about a more complex process of that landscape that reminds me of countries in Europe, in the center of that continent, that is related to another type of food, another type of traditions, like the kings, the queens, all the type of situation that create somehow that I don't know, metropolis that we know currently. And there are another figures that I start to explore. In that case, it is the triangle, the square, and I started to explore more and more and more and more and more seeds to relate even more ideas through what a landscape is, what a seed is, what is its potential in the world. Somehow, if the world doesn't exist without the seed, what happens now if we are not related to that seed? Seed is time somehow. that spiral mosaic that I create with guava seeds. It took me a little while. Seems like it's pretty, you know, concentric, and it talks about the cycles of the life. So for me, that represents the unfolding time of the experience during the construction process by placing 8 seeds. While I was placing each of that, I was thinking about all the questions that I was having at the beginning. And at some point, to me, it was like an epiphany somehow, and I felt, well, seems like somehow all those reflections and introspections are leading me to see that probably the very first architecture that we have as not only humans, as living species is the seed. This is the most important architecture that I think, at least in my research, my artistic statement, the postcards. My collection is growing up constantly, but at that moment I want to show that photo particularly because this is part of the result of a residency that I did in New York in that year, in 2019, and the result it was that first explorations of the seeds, some processed landscape, collected landscape, and some exploration of the seeds, the shape of the seeds, to understand how our world is built through seed. And somehow, even without seeds, there's nothing. We don't know, we don't have that link with seeds, that it's not that important in the current time. It's like if the seeds doesn't have the place that they should have in our cultures, in our current moment of the story. To me, it's important to recover that, to reconnect with that origin of the cities in that case, but also my reflection lead me to understand that it's more than this transition. It's actually, we exist because the seeds already exist. So, but yeah, okay. So I keep going. Well, with the civilians, I finally could build some kind of architectures that represent that reflection, that opportunity to think and to imagining a world built with silk. Well, in my results, I also thought, well, in that problem with the racism, with the difference of human gender, sorry. I started to explore different ways to talk about those topics through the seed. So I started to tattoo directly on seeds, and having a statement more clear. In that case, this is pretty explicit, pretty direct. We are all seeds, no matter the type of seed, no matter the color of the skin, no matter of how many seeds you have inside. It's the point that I believe in that equality, and that's part of that statement. And yeah, this is one of the last projects that I had with that questions. And finally, I thought, well, also we saw the seeds in our bodies. And this is a way to me to explore how to sow myself, how to cultivate myself, how to harvest myself, and how I innovate myself. Because to me, that's the most important part of how we can understand seeds. How can we make that question: seeds as nature, seeds as symbol, as architecture, as landscape, as body, as object, as question. At the end, to me, it's more important to telling everyone, well, I made all those experiments somehow, all those explorations to different medium, but at the end, the questions and the reflections are the most important thing in that case. Imagining that landscape, that world built with seeds, I think it's the opportunity to reconnect with your nature, the nature that we already are, and to accepting ourselves as seeds. And that's it. Thank you very much.
So if there is anything else that you want to share to everybody, yeah, you can do it now, and then we can continue our talk.
Okay, awesome. Well, I would like to say, please reach me out whenever you want to share about those ideas. This is to me sometimes the way to talk, to start a relationship, to start. Sometimes you don't know, but that type of moments of situations are exactly what you are looking for without knowing that you're looking for. You find a topic or a person who has a pretty specific idea that probably brought to your mind and you want to explore. So please feel free and completely confident to reach me out, and I will be happy, because I couldn't be there because of the time difference we have. We are 7 hours. You are in the future compared with me. And so somehow, if you have any question or any idea that you want to bring to my project, because that's something that I will keep developing. That's a series, and I will keep finding ways to or medium for expressing that ideas. Somehow, I think that if any of you had that idea or something to bring, I would be happy to listen and to make a feedback, because I lost that now. And thank you very much, Eleni, because this is to me really special. I feel important in that environment, in that cycle of pretty interesting artists and researchers who, at least to me, had a very interesting point of view about how to work with their bodies and, well, with the body in general. And in that case, I am so excited with Eleni's project, the democracy of the bodies, the way you are understanding that is interesting to me. And I think I'm pretty sure that the people that is going to bring more ideas or more topics are gonna be interesting to me. So I will be to thank you very, very much. I'm so happy.
Yay, thank you, Alicia. It's a little bit weird to talk, and I was so confused with the virtual. Yeah, now I'm in both the. I do it intentionally. I was playing with that in the studio, so that is quite confusing, and we see all of us. Would you like to comment anything? So Alicia will hear the recording afterwards, maybe if you want to share. I also told her about you, Vera, of course, because it was like right there.
You will have our contacts all together, right?
Yeah.
So many things.
There. Yes. So for me, it was super interesting to see the development of the project from like those pretty visual pieces to architectural pieces in, you know, when you were building things from the seeds to at the end, those photographs where the seeds were on your body, which I found very strong. Because for me, the seed, I mean, not for me, it is basically the reproductive system or whatever of plants, and you know, this whole topic of potentiality and growing something, planting something, and planting something. The connection with the body for me was incredibly strong, and I'd be very, very curious to see you develop that more. What would that look like? Because to me, those photos just looked so, I don't know, yeah, so carnal, you know, just very, I understood them. And yes, this fleshy aspect of the seed is very interesting to me.
Yeah, can I also add about this? Like I was also in these constructions and in these patterns, created patterns. I was right away thinking about this sizability, that the scales of the sets, that like everything that becomes anything of any scale is the same, is packed in the same size, is packed in the same pattern, is packed in the same construction, which is like absolutely like you're going down to some like really basic level of I don't know, information, just information. And then I don't know yet what I'm going to say. Just it's really amazing how. And then also this idea about tattooing the fruits, like yeah, going back to this, that we are like this potentiality, basically potentiality of a social body, somatic body, any body of any size. Like this sizability is what really is. Yes, sure.
Yeah, maybe just to add to that, what I really like about what you, Farah, just brought up is that, I mean, other than apple seeds, we have so much choice of our seeding, which I really like the last image that you showed, where like you refer to the different qualities of seeds or something, and that we are seeding. But I think that's really something special about humans, that we can actually have so much choice in what we leave behind, and that's something really good to think about. So thank you for this.
Yeah, great. We did it. Okay, I promise that next time I will be more conscious about time. I try every time, but you know, every time there's something else that I haven't calculated. So yeah, I'm really sorry if I overstep to people's schedules, but I'm so thankful that you're here. And then we co-created this cloud. In the end, everything kind of makes sense all together. In the electrosensing clouds. Thanks to everyone that was here before, but already gone, and you will see the recording. I will try to upload somewhere. Yeah, and I'm so curious to see what comes after this. I was thinking, you know, to do the next project of Leonidio based on this idea already, so embodied democracies, and I want to do it in Leonidio. Hopefully it's going to be in April, but if I need more time to develop, it might be that it's like a year. But I realized that this year is the third year, like 2023 will be the third year after my last Latomia project residency. And it seems like it has created a cycle of its own of every 3 years based on different circumstances. So either it will be the residency or it will be something about embodied combination. So if you want to stay informed about this project, the best way is to subscribe as you did. I mean, if I don't have your contact there, better subscribe in my website so that I have all the emails together. Otherwise, you know, I know you and some of you I will reach out to by myself. And yeah, I hope the best for whatever you do with your projects. Really, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. And so we do a little dance for you. If anyone, what we do in my neuroscience class, we all speak together at the end. So I like that. You can unmute yourselves. We can greet everyone in our language or whatever language, gibberish or whatever. Yeah.
Jens, too much.
Next time. Cheers.